Professors and university employees of Reddit, what behind-the-scenes campus drama went on that students never knew about. In our chemistry department a few years back, a grad student who was failing started poisoning another graduate student they worked with closely by putting carcinogens in their foods and drinks. Colorless, odorless, flavorless, thanks to his chemistry knowledge. He was eventually caught and I'm not sure what happened to him, thrown out for sure, perhaps arrested. Another year a grad student pushed another student down a flight of steps to try to kill them. Chemists are crazy. 2 professors arrested for meth production, one for murdering his wife with lab supplies, another stepped down quietly for embezzlement. And that's how we replaced half our chemistry department in a year. When I was going through my PhD program, a buddy of mine had his professor die on him. Young guy, in his 40s, got hit by a car. Boom. Not so fun fact, when a professor dies, their grants go away. If a grad student is on the verge of finishing, just writing up their results, they can sometimes hop to another lab and get by. My friend, however, was only in his 2nd year. He had to start over with a new project in a new lab. Essentially lost 2 years of his life on a project that yielded absolutely nothing. Woo, grad school, so uplifting. One of our male English professors was being stalked by a female student, to the point he had to get a restraining order against her. The only reason my class knew was because she saw him in the hallway, entered our classroom and made a huge scene the first day of class, and security had to be called to make her leave. After that, the door was always locked for that class and whoever was in the back row were scouters to let in late students. He also had to cancel class to go to court for the situation at least once. My husband works in IT at our university, student employment. A few days ago he got a call asking if anyone in the office had a lot of experience with this certain program. Turns out the person calling accidentally deleted 82 virtual machines containing close to 10 years of research and data. He worked for a small department and they didn't have any backups of the data. Not sure what happened since my husband transferred him to a data specialist. Edit: I will not tell the university or the professor that this happened for obvious reasons. I worked as a janitor for a long time at a major university. If the kitchen staff was short, my 15-year-old, no experience having ass was making your pizza. I was also once told on short notice to go grill cheeseburgers for an event. I figured it would be easy enough. I've used a grill before. I was left unsupervised to make food for 100+ people. I have never faked my way through something that crazy with the exception of losing my virginity. Edit: thanks for the silvers and gold. Had I known people would actually read the comment I wouldn't have worded it so awkwardly. I'd feel weird editing it now so I'll leave it in all of its nonsensical glory. Grades came out. At that time they were printed. The burster, the device that cut the grade cards up into a mailable format, has a torn belt. We could not in any way get a replacement belt from the manufacturer, so we measured how long the belt needed to be. Then we went to an auto parts store and looked at a lot of belts before we settled on one and bought it. It fit the burster and we had all the grade cards mailed that night. Prominent professor was sleeping with his students. Actually, he met his wife that way, and then had a huge issue with dating other students after getting married. Lawsuits were threatened, he resigned and moved 3,000, edit this was exaggerated by about 2,000, miles away very quickly. No news, no public info released, it was all just known through the grapevine of staff. Edit: it was in the Midwest, but it seems this happens at every school based on comments. No, I'm not going to say where. I used to be a custodian at a prominent university and one of the TAs in the art department would routinely leave her studio a pigsty and then assured her students not to sweat the mess, we're just giving the janitor something to do. A number of students complained about her sense of entitlement and she was rejected for a professorship for calling me a janitor instead of the proper nomenclature, custodian. Night shift janitor made some really good moonshine. Some of the professors and grad students would leave cash in our top desk drawers when we left work, and the next day, a mason jar of handmade shine would be waiting there. He's since moved on from that department, but was good people. Professor came to a student house party and started doing heroin. Nobody ratted on him. Professor here. 10 of us went out for drinks one night. Tempers flared, egos got involved. Trivial Pursuit was the game. History professors versus science professors. 5 on 5. Losers had to run across the quad at midnight, naked. Students missed out on 5 incredibly intelligent, highly dignified, very respected, completely nude and blushing science professors streaking across the green lawn. Only 3 students knew about this. My roommate made drug stops, which was somewhat common knowledge. But we had something really weird happen. Our math professor hit us up a few times. I was with him at the time and he had a terrified look on his like he was caught for sure. But then he said, "Can I get some of that?" He was then his best customer for the next 2 years. And we told no one, and no student to our knowledge found out. Edit. To those asking, my friend sold coke and meth, but I'm not sure what he sold to our professor. Probably both. I work at a college in the Midwest. A few years ago, our president very quickly resigned. Turns out his son was growing weed in their basement and was selling out of their house. Whether the president knew or not is still being debated, but he still resigned.